no, it was the 19th.
Yeah, whenever, yeah.
We'll go ahead and get started. We'll ask for Mr. Bill Howard to give us the invocation this evening.
Before we get started, let's have a quiet moment of prayer, remembering the families down in Texas who lost their lives of loved ones. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, dear Lord, that you provide this place for us, a place of safety and comfort in the midst of a time of tragedy within our country. Lord, we just pray that just continue to bless us and bless the times that we have together and share those special moments. We thank you, dear Lord, that amidst all the tragedy, there's heroes, the heroes of everyday life that we seem to take for granted. Father, I just want to ask, dear Lord, just bless those heroes. Bless those who we support at this time. And Father, just thank you, dear Lord, that we could come together this evening to do the business of the city. And Father, just pray, just bless council as they continue to make laws and ordinances that govern us and continue to make our city safe. Thank you, dear Lord, for our firefighters and our police officers who put their lives on the lines every day to continue to keep us protected. Father, just guide us this evening. Guide our hearts. Guide our lives. Father, may we just be able to say thank you to at least one person this week for what they may have done for you. For I ask all these things through Jesus Christ, our blessed Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regular council meeting, November 7th, 2017. Call the meeting to order, and let's go ahead and stand and say the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Hoffman, will you please take roll call?
Mr. Burke? Mr. Cahill?
Here.
Ms. Kyle?
Here.
Mr. Skidmore?
Here.
Ms. Sedgwick?
Here.
Ms. Cahill?
Here.
Mr. Montgomery?
Here.
Ms. Skidmore?
Here.
Ms. Pitts?
Here.
Mr. Nicely?
Here.
Ms. Fetty?
Here.
Mr. Blankenship?
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Council, you've received the minutes of the October 3rd, 2017 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we accept as written. Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mr. Montgomery. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. You've received a copy of the agenda for this evening's meeting, November 7th, 2017. Are there any additions or changes to be made at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented. Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mr. Cahill. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. All right, we'll move on to the special presentations. First, we've got a business spotlight. Is Jackie from Cash Express here? Oh, there she is. Hey. Hello, come on up. Just in time. Hey, how are you? Welcome.
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
I came today to tell you guys about our 13th annual Toy and Coat Drive for the children of our community. We are partnering with Masters Provisions. We are partnering with the Erlanger Ellesmere Head Start, the Shop with a Cop programs for the Erlanger Police, Ellesmere Police, and the fire departments. And we are also partnering with Erlanger Ellesmere Independent School System to help their resource officers out. We're doing a Fill the Fire Truck event on the 17th and the 18th at our store. Santa Claus is going to be there for pictures with the kids. We did this, again, this is the 13th year. We're accepting new or used coats, clothes, toys, hats, gloves, scarves. We're hoping to make this a success to help out. Unlike other businesses, our donations we want to keep right here in our community. That's really all we have to discuss.
Oh, well, okay, so I know some of the people may not be familiar with you here on council. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and then talking about Cash Express as well.
I'm the manager. Down here, we're at 4418 Dixie Highway. We're right across from U-Haul. We cash all checks. We do payday loans. We have prepaid Visa debit cards. We have over 300 stores in 5 different states. We try to help out our community. We do donations. We have cups we donate. I just donated 10,000 cups to the St. Timothy Festival. You come into our store if you've got an event going on, we can get you cups, pens, Post-its, mints, lollipops. We try to be a good neighbor in the community, help out people who need us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so cash, or the check cashing industry has kind of a bad stigma, but really it's not about that, right?
It's not about that. It's about helping out people who maybe don't have any other place to go. They can't go to a bank, or a bank won't loan them a small amount of money, and that's what we're there for. We're there to help them in the short term to get over a hump.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so tell me the dates again. The Toy and Coat
The
Drive.
Toy and Coat Drive is going on from now until the 15th of December.
Okay.
And then the Fill the Fire Truck event is next Friday and Saturday. During our business hours, we're open 9:30 to 5:30 on Friday, and then Saturday we'll be there from 9:30 to 2.
Okay. And you're also raising money by selling
We're
stockings?
selling stockings, yes, we have stockings. We have a goal of $1,200. We've already raised over $600. A lot of it's just our customers giving us their change, 75, 85 cents at a time. We hope to far exceed that goal and to be able to take that money, and what we do is we go to these organizations and we will cut them a check. If, the school needs, last year I was managing our Ludlow store, the resource officer needed things, I went shopping and got her those things. Things that maybe they don't have anywhere else to go to, they don't have the funds for, we can be able to fill in. Our company also buys toys for each store that we do donate to these programs as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming out this evening. I know Jackie, you do such a great job of being such a wonderful community partner. You're assembling some of these programs completely on your own. I know that you recognize our police and fire,
We
like
do
on 9/11.
every year on 9/11.
Yeah.
We recognize all the fire and police departments. We take cakes to them. We thank them. We have posters that we leave in our store for 2 months. We ask all of our customers to sign them. We take those posters out and we recognize them because, they do an important job. They protect us. They're always there for us when nobody else would be.
Well, you're doing wonderful things for our community, and it's making an impact right here, right in our backyard, so thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to leave some of our flyers here. If anybody's interested, you can pick some up.
That'd
I'll
be
leave them
great.
over here on the table.
Yeah, that'd be
All right.
wonderful.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we've got Dr. Kathy Burkhardt. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening, and thank you to Cash Express for what they're doing for our SROs and our students as well. I just have 3 good news items to share with you this evening. The first one is I left some invitations. I think Mayor Hermes has these for you, and
I put 'em in
I'll
the
pass out a
mailboxes.
few.
Everybody should have gotten one in their mailbox.
Yeah, I have mine.
So that invitation is to our Leadership Scholars graduation program, which will be on November 19th at 2:30 p.m. at Shaban Gymnasium. Leadership Scholars empowers parents, transforms students, and strengthens communities. Leadership Scholars is a nonprofit. It enlists and empowers parents to become a catalyst for their children to attend and graduate college, founded on the belief that every child deserves a quality education to realize their full potential. The end goal of Leadership Scholars is to increase the number of more highly educated individuals in our communities, regardless of socioeconomic status. The first program of its kind, it blends college readiness with a success mindset, social and emotional behavioral strategies rooted in science. These are the key to building relationships and successfully obtaining goals. So we have parents that have been attending classes for 7 weeks in a row. In fact, they're in 4 of our schools this evening. So I was just at the Ellesmere Council meeting, then I'm going to go back to the schools. But we have 100 parents who are going to be graduating that day with caps and gowns, and we'd love for you to be there and celebrate. Well, it's actually parents, grandparents, and guardians. So if you're able to be there, I think it will be something that you'll really want to be a part of, and we'd love to recognize you if you're able to come. So thank you for that. In addition to that, another good news item. I don't think I brought my poster up here. Did I leave my poster back there? United Way Success by 6, as you all know, we have done a lot of things with early childhood, and you helped us do that. In the very beginning, you helped us get the word out. Thank you so much. And so the model that was created here in the communities of Erlanger and Ellesmere is being replicated across the state and across our region. So United Way Success by 6 and its early childhood partners have launched My Pre-K, childhood public awareness campaign in Northern Kentucky. The purpose of the general campaign is to show the unlimited potential of young children and elevate pre-K as the first educational step towards shaping our youth. And so when you see the My Pre-K, you'll see billboards across the region and posters like this. A lot of these children are our children, right here in Erlanger and Ellesmere. And also, if you attend the movies in the area, there will be some commercials that you'll see. So I want you to know that when you see those, that those children are our children, they're your children. And so we're very proud of that and very grateful that you all helped us accomplish that. And now United Way and Success by 6 are across the region and perhaps across the state. So I think that's pretty exciting. This young lady is one of our students for sure, and there are some others as well. So isn't she beautiful? It's just great. Yeah, we can pass it around. Then the last thing I have is a good news item. Some may think it's a good news item and some may not. As you know, pension has been a hot topic that we've been talking about, and we've looked at the proposal that was received and estimated that it would cost our district about $1 million a year, perhaps more. But I'm not here to talk to you about that. I'm here to share some good news. A lot of people across the state are working together on something called a shared responsibility plan. And you may or may not realize that in our school district, in all school districts in Kentucky, we have 2 plans, the KTRS plan, which is our teachers, certified teachers, and the CERS plan, which is the same one that the city employees have. So we share that in common. So there are groups across the state representing thousands of people, not only workers, but parents, teachers, public workers who've worked together to come up with what we call a shared responsibility plan. So there was a press conference yesterday and that was shared. So I'm not here to get into the details of that. I'm just here to share that with you to let you know that people are working together and that the shared responsibility plan acknowledges the need for change and accepts the pension system as a shared responsibility while maintaining structure and minimizing the risks to our students and thousands of teachers, staff members, and other public workers. Thank you for supporting and understanding and being there for our school district. We are hopeful that everyone in our state will work together and share the responsibility of making decisions that are in the best interest of our students, our public workers, and all citizens of our Commonwealth. When we have these huge problems in our world, I always think that the best solution comes when people work together. And so really excited about the opportunity for everyone to get together on this and to work with all kinds of people, legislators, our governor, our communities, our school districts. And so I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to continue the work. And we appreciate the work that was started by our governor and the legislature. And I know we have one legislator here who's always willing to listen, and we appreciate him very much. So I will pass this around, and you can look at the points that go into more of the details. Just wanted to make you aware because we do share this common area of pension, and it's something that would impact the entire community in hopefully a positive way. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Burkhardt. So I know one of the things that you thought would be a good thing to do would be to call, and is the number on there?
No, I did not put the number on there. If people so choose to call and support working together, I think you have that number and you can feel free to call.
I can share that.
Really, I think it's an exciting time for us to be able to work together to come up with a shared solution. And there's a proposal in here that is a point-by-point of KTRS and CERS that was proposed yesterday. Thank you.
And I know one of the things, too, that you had mentioned was that you recommended that we would request green slips. And I don't know if any of the members from council have called or are familiar with green slips. Are any of you familiar with that?
No.
So I'll share the number with you. But, I mean, I don't know. Representative Koenig, would you mind, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but would you mind talking just for a second about what a green slip is and what the impact is for you?
There's an 800 number, which I guess you have, Mayor, that if you call it and you can give your opinion on any bill, this bill or anything else or any issue, and it used to be, and we still make sure it happens this way, but we've got a new system, but they would come on little green slips of paper. So 2 or 3 times a day in my mailbox, I get a stack of green slips, and we call them, and they're usually pretty important, and they're right there in front of you. You know, we get hundreds of emails a day, and they're important, but sometimes they can get lost, but green slips sit there on your desk. So it's if you want to make an impact, sending us lots of green slips is a good way to do it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, so a lot of times I've heard other people say as well, I mean, they'll kind of keep a stack on their desk, and it's here's the yeses and here's the nos, or here, you know, here's the ones that are in support and here's the ones that aren't. And that helps guide them in their decisions for the people that they serve. So makes a big difference. And so thank you, Dr. Burkhardt. Thank you, Representative Koenig. All right, well, so next up is KLC 2017 Friend of Kentucky Cities Award. JD, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I appreciate it. I'm J.D. Cheney. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the League of Cities. It's been a while, maybe a couple years since I've been up here, and even though it's tempting, the only language we're speaking right now is pensions. You all know the League's position. The League's not part of this shared responsibility plan that came out from the education group. Our position's been a little different with their board of directors making different decisions, obviously on separating CERS and some other positions about how to address dealing with this unfunded liability from an affordability perspective, and also treating your employees in a respectful and equitable manner. But I think we're progressing along with maybe a little different route, but we have certainly worked closely with the school board associations in the development of our plans. So stay tuned. Hopefully we have some progress here, more than we've had in the early stages in the development of what was introduced a couple of weeks ago by the governor. I'm here not to talk about pensions, thank goodness. I'm here to talk about the work of your legislator over the last session. The League has a strong tradition of giving awards to legislators that introduce bills off the legislative agenda that's voted upon by the city governments around Kentucky that are either they sponsor them or they help kill something that's really negative to cities. In the case of Representative Koenig, he's no stranger to that. I think as the Republicans took control of the House, I think more and more Republican legislators are getting an award, but I can say for Representative Koenig, even while he was in the minority, we were able to address several issues and sponsor several bills. He's been a consistent champion of city governments on the local government committee and in other areas. So that's a long tradition we've had with Representative Koenig. He's always been an ally to city governments. This year, in particular, he took over the chairmanship of a very important committee. And I know your attorneys can verify the fact, if you've ever opened the Kentucky Revised Statutes and looked at Kentucky's alcohol laws, you know it is probably the messiest group of statutes that we have on Kentucky law books. And Representative Koenig inherited the committee that oversees alcohol and other professions and occupations, but a lot of that's focused on reforms to the alcohol law. We've made amazing strides over the past few years to try to simplify those. Sometimes you just have to throw a dart and guess what the law is related to alcohol, because they're contradictory patchwork of statutes. And it's a statutory scheme that hadn't permitted a lot of local control. So this year, Representative Koenig, as chairman of the committee, pioneered or headed up a process where the industry, cities, counties, and others came together to fashion about 150-page piece of legislation that clarified some of those laws, but more importantly, embraced the idea of home rule and eliminated some of the restrictions on local governments that they have. For example, cities couldn't pick whether or not they wanted bars in their communities. And you're seeing more and more of the state go wet or moist. Also, the law was unclear about whether city and county taxes on alcohol stacked on top of each other. This bill clarified the fact that the county couldn't come in and stack on top of the city's regulations and taxes a county tax, essentially paying taxes to both the city and county. So that was a major piece of legislation in a very brief summary of a 140 or 50-page bill. In addition to that, Representative Koenig spearheaded and took some unfair criticism in doing this, I think, to refine and do comprehensive reform to Kentucky's workers' comp system. It's something that's long overdue. And he passed that bill out of the House and almost passed it out of the Senate, and it's something we look forward to continue working with him on. From an employer perspective, it also balanced the fairness to employees in that piece of legislation that made some changes to the workers' comp system that's long overdue. And so we look forward, Representative Koenig, to doing that. You were a great individual in working with all the interested parties in doing that. In addition, Representative Koenig has been our perennial sponsor of legislation to deal with constables. And I don't know whether that's a sensitive issue up here, but it certainly is for the League of Cities Board, because we have many instances where our law enforcement officers are telling us that these untrained constables that are out with law enforcement or peace officer powers are putting not only the public at risk, but sometimes in their responses, our own officers at risk. So our law enforcement components of the organization, we've tried to amend the Constitution several sessions now. I think that's picking up momentum, and we look forward to continuing working with him on that. So the Board of Directors unanimously voted your all's representative, Representative Adam Koenig, as a 2017 friend of Kentucky Cities, and I do appreciate you allowing us this venue to recognize his work on behalf of city government. So join me in congratulating Representative Adam Koenig, 2017 Friend of the City. And one more thing. Since I've been at the League of Cities 17 years now, that's kind of hard to believe, but for 17 years, we have attempted to repeal the law in Kentucky that relates to prevailing wage. And that happened last session. After 17 years of advocacy to modernize Kentucky laws on prevailing wage, which costs taxpayers, you all, city government and their taxpayers more in public construction on a kind of an arbitrary way. And the lead on that issue was Representative Koenig. So I could probably name 10 other things, Representative Koenig, that warrant this award, but the prevailing wage was a big victory for us. As you all know, we've advocated it for a while, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, JD and Kentucky League of Cities, and up here, and they do a great job for all the cities, and it's a hard job because you have, what, 418 of them or something like that? So you all have great representation, actually, down there, and I appreciate them coming on up here so we can do this in front of you all, my hometown city, and it's easier to get things done, obviously, when you're in the majority, but I will say that it's been literally the honor of my professional career to be able to repeal prevailing wage. Everyone may not agree with it, and that's fine, but I know, Dr. Burkhart, you all were able to do more with the same amount of money this year because of that, and, next time a building is built around here, or when you all spend money on roads, your money will go farther because of it. So hopefully, I think between 400 plus cities and 120 counties and 174 school districts and 9 public universities and a $10 billion state budget, and I'm not even sure how big the state budget is for roads, but it's $2 or $3 billion, and it's a lot of taxpayer dollars. It'll go farther. So anyway, I appreciate you all taking the time to let us do this here. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, next up, we've got police recognition. We've got the retirement of our chief, Tony Wilson.
Mayor, Council, I just want to take an opportunity to recognize Chief Wilson, who is not only retiring at the end of this month, but he'll be receiving his 25-year pin for service at Erlanger. Tony was born and raised in Erlanger, attending Lindeman and Tishner, and then attending St. Henry's, graduating, can I say the year? Yeah. In 1986. I was 6 years old. Graduated from NKU in 91 with a bachelor's of sociology. He's married with 3 children and 1 adorable granddaughter. He started as a patrolman in Erlanger in 1992. He's held just about every position in Erlanger since then. He was assigned as a detective in 2000, promoted to sergeant in 2001. 2006, he attended and graduated FBI National Academy, which is a huge accomplishment for any law enforcement officer. He was promoted to lieutenant in 2009, promoted to assistant chief in 2013, and then promoted to chief of police in 2015. He's currently the vice president of the Northern Kentucky Police Association. Tony, you've been a great asset to the city of Erlanger the past 25 years, and as I said, you'll be retiring at the end of the month. On behalf of the city of Erlanger, we appreciate dedication and your service to the citizens in the city. So thank you very much.
That was a fast 25 years. I'll make it short. I have a little bit of a cold, so I can't talk that well. Everybody here knows that's nonsense, but I never dreamed that I'd be here for 25 years. There's so many people to thank that got me into the place that I am today. I guess to start out with Mayor Fred Thomas and Chief Greg Sandler, who gave me the opportunity to work here. It's been a fabulous 25 years. We've had our ups and downs. Excuse me. But I've worked with some amazing people. The police department is second to none in the state. And so is, in the fire department, is right on our heels, but being second's not too bad. But seriously, one thing that we've consistently enjoyed over my 25-year career, and Tom Cahill asked this question years ago when there was a lot of question about the pay for the police and fire. He said, why do you all stay here so long if it's, the pay is so miserable? And it's because it's a special place to work. It's a great place to raise a family, and it's just filled with a lot of great people. One of the things that makes it better is the continued support of city council and mayors and the politicians, because the decisions that you all make have a great impact on the lives of everybody that works here, which is well over 100 people. You know, I've been through 4 mayors now. I don't know how many councils, but I just want to remind you that it's not getting any easier anywhere in this country, but especially around here. The police and fire and public works is going to rely on your continued support and your in-depth decision-making to make their lives easier, you know, because of the work that they go through every day. It's you know, like I said, it's just not getting any easier. But you all have been blessed with some of the best workers, some of the best people that I've ever been around in my entire life. It's been a great experience. There's too many people to thank. So hopefully anybody that's listening or sees this, word enough to replay this. You know, I thank you all. I'm going to miss you. I'll still be around though. Not here, but I'll be around. I want to thank everybody, especially this council. You've made a lot of great strides. I know there was a lot of tumultuous beginnings when Mayor Hermes got elected. The undying support for your police and fire and public works is just, I can't say it enough. You all make our lives better and easier. And, you know, it's all to achieve the same goal, and that's to provide the wonderful service that our citizens are entitled to. So thank you. And with that, I'll see you. You want me to say a few words about Jason Whaley while I'm up here? I don't think he made it
I don't
tonight.
think you made it.
He was supposed to get his 20-year pin. Jason's also retiring December 1st as well. Jason started his law enforcement career at Williamstown Police Department. From there, he went on to Ellesmere Police Department, where he was recruited and brought here. And I think he's been here, I don't know, 15 years or so. Jason's held a lot of positions. He was in our FTO program, SWAT team, fitness program. He's been involved in the equipping of the vehicles, our fleet management program. He's been a great asset to the police department. He'll be gone December 1st as well, so he's been a great asset to the police department. I think he's going to go on to bigger and better jobs in real estate, is what I believe. So anyway, I just wanted to mention him on my way out. So thank you.
All right. Ed, are you going to talk about Al?
Rick couldn't be here tonight, so I get the extreme honor of presenting Al Newman with his 15-year service pin. Al started out his career as a public servant at the ripe age of 12 years old as a senior fireman for the city of Ellesmere. Al was a big part with Ellesmere, putting in 16 years and being a big part of them becoming a fire district. Al came to us in April of 2002 as a part-time employee, seasonal, and in November he moved to full-time. Al has got to be one of the best employees the city has ever had. His work ethic, the parks, the reason they look so good today is because some of the work that Al has done and the way he trains younger guys in what needs to be done. If it's a little high, guess what? You're going back over it. Let's get it right. Al's a great family man, and I consider him to be a great friend, and we're blessed to have him here at the city. Congratulations, Al.
All right, thank you. All right, next up on the agenda, we've got a proclamation. So, to all to whom these presents shall come. Whereas Joe Francis Martin, an Erlanger resident, is the founder and director of a nonprofit organization called Tattoo Removal, Inc. And whereas TRI provides free tattoo removal for the formerly incarcerated, the formerly gang involved, and those who have been victims of human trafficking. And whereas TRI also offers an outreach program called Employment, Advancement, and Retention Needs, an occupational educational opportunities program that provides free instruction and tutoring to provide TRI clients occupational potential. And whereas Mrs. Martin opened TRI in January of 2017, and due to the organization, struggling with glasses issues here, blame it on the glasses. And to date, the organization has removed more than 300 tattoos. And whereas Mrs. Martin started her path to founding TRI while volunteering at the Kenton County Detention Center by tutoring prisoners who were trying to get their high school equivalency degrees. And whereas Mrs. Martin is one of the 10 exceptional women selected for this year's The Enquirer and the Greater Cincinnati Foundation Women of the Year Award. And whereas the city of Erlanger, Kentucky, congratulates Joe Francis Martin on her award, and we thank her for her dedication and devotion to her organization and the service it provides to the community. Now therefore, I, Tyson Hermes, Mayor of the City of Erlanger, Kenton County, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim November 8th, 2017 to be Joe Francis Martin Day in Erlanger, and do commend this observance to all our citizens, given under my hand and the seal of the City of Erlanger on this 7th day of November, 2017. How about a round of applause?
I don't know, I've never been to a Joe Martin Proclamation Day, so I don't really know. And I didn't know till this afternoon when Mayor Hermes called me and said, "Are you coming?" And I was like, okay. So I'm really thankful to be here. I'm grateful for the city of Erlanger. I've lived here since I married my husband 45 years ago. We moved here. And I love this city. I love my church, St. Henry, and I couldn't ask for a better city. I always, when the City Works cleans our street of the snow, I always go out. Do such a great job, and so I'm really honored to be here and thankful. So if you know anybody that needs a tattoo removed, they can come up and see me. And we do have an education department, as Mayor Hermes said, trying to help these people become employment eligible. It's really hard when they get out of prison and they come with gang tattoos and all of that. So we're just trying to, help them. So anyway, thank you for this day.
Thank you for what you do. All right, we've got another proclamation regarding Small Business Saturday. I'm not going to read the entire proclamation here this evening, but if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask me. But I did want to just go ahead and highlight that we need to not forget that our largest employer in Erlanger is our small businesses. So this is making November 25th Small Business Saturday in Erlanger. All All right, next up on the agenda is the mayor's report. I'll be brief. We've had a lot of interest in the revisions to the EDGE business tax incentive, and I'd like some time at the committee meeting on the 21st to discuss ideas for other small business and homeowner tax incentives. And also, I wanted to remind council and the department heads that we're requesting the staff goals for next year, for 2018. I've received some of them already, so thank you for those who have submitted those. And then the other thing I was going to mention, which Jackie had talked about, was the Cash Express toy and coat collection. Let's keep them in mind in the holiday season here. That stuff all stays local, so and right here for the people in Erlanger. That's it. We'll move on. Next item on the agenda is the reports of committees, public safety. Start with police.
Yes, I have a report from our committee meeting on the firearms ordinance. We met on October 17th, and after our discussion, we decided to have our first reading tonight. And I want it to be noted that we removed phrases about the toys and pea shooters and added dangerous to missiles to exclude the Nerf-type guns, because I know some people voice concern about that. So we'll have the first reading tonight. And then I have a few highlights. First, I want to congratulate Chief Field. There I go. Chief Wilson. Are you going to miss that? Chief Wilson on his retirement. Congratulations, and we're also proud of you. And of course, I think people know that I knew him as a high schooler, so he has a special place in my heart. And we will always remember you. So congratulations, enjoy your retirement. And then we have a few highlights. First of all, Sergeant Rice attended the Halloween event at the depot, and we heard that that was a great success there that evening for people that attended. And then Lieutenant Colonel Brendel, Lieutenant Lemming, and Patrolman Ayler attended the ICS 400 training. And there's one other highlight. Several of our officers assisted Ellesmere with a man high on meth, and he was holding a knife on his kids, holding them hostage. The suspect was taken into custody without harm, and the children were unharmed. And these officers did an outstanding job, and I know Chief Thames had nothing but praise for them. So I just wanted to recognize them this evening also. And I think Ms. Sudkamp has something to add.
Yes, sir. Jessica is going to mention this later in the report, but Lieutenant Colonel Brendel wanted me to kind of set the stage so that council could be thinking about this amazing creative idea. Jessica sort of brought it to our attention that we needed somebody for people in need. And yes, we've got the fire department, we've got the police department, we've got public works, but we needed somebody for them to go to who could research for them for their particular needs. And during some research on this idea, they found out that the Alexandria Police Department has hired a social worker within the police department as an advocate for citizens in need, children, seniors, troubled teens, drug activity, domestic violence, foreclosures, and this all can be absorbed within the police department at no additional changes in the budget. So it sounds to me like a complete no-brainer, and I thank Jessica for coming up with the idea. It's needed more now than it has ever been needed. Talking to the chief, the drug activity among children is just rampant here. Just rampant. And so, people need more help. So that's all I have to say. And Chief, I don't want to cry. I can't wait for you to get the hell out of here.
Just to elaborate just a little bit, just to paint a little bit.
You should mention Sue.
Yeah, okay. All right, in just a minute. I want to elaborate a little bit more on the call that Ms. Kyle was talking about, where our officers assisted Ellesmere with the guy on meth that was holding his children hostage. Yeah, the call was a domestic person holding a knife to the kids. I don't remember exactly how it came out, but our officers immediately responded to back up the single Ellesmere officer that was available at the time. The guy had ingested so much meth, he had just been hired by a trucking company a few days earlier, and apparently had been on a meth binge for 72 hours or so. He got home, went meth crazy, for lack of a better term, smacked his wife around, or baby mama, whatever it was. Then he grabbed a 3-year-old and held a knife to the 3-year-old's throat to shield him from the officers that were there. Our officer, Nezzy, was able to kick in the door when the guy was distracted by one thing or another and grab the 5-year-old and literally throw the kid out of the harm's way. And then the other 3 officers dealt with this guy holding a knife to the to the other child's throat for it was an extended period of time. And like I mentioned before, and like you just said about the social worker, it's not getting any better. It's not getting any easier. And those officers saved those children's lives without a doubt that day, and they are true heroes. And that's the kind of stuff that these officers and fire officials are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So that's why I just beg you in the future to continue to give them your support, because until something changes drastically, they're doing it every day. Every single day, these police officers and firemen are dealing with that every single day. We had at least 3 calls not like that, but similar to that today. So I just wanted to give a little more detailed picture about how that went. They did a fantastic job. We had another call like that last year, or maybe a year before that, that didn't turn out so good, where
Yeah, I remember.
a couple folks ended up deceased. So that's all on that. You wanted me to mention Sue. I'll just say this. Sue Lamke was a police clerk here for 27 years. I don't know when she started, but I know that she was one of the reasons that I got hired, and I do owe her a lot. Well, I owe her everything, I guess, but she's been gone from us for quite a few years now. But Sue Lamke, she was friends with Greg Sandel at the time, and I think she convinced him to hire me or give me a chance anyway, but there's a lot more about that story we'll talk about at the retirement.
Thank you. You know, one other thing I'd like to mention real quickly while we're talking about police is that, I didn't mention it earlier, but that Lieutenant Colonel Todd Brendel is going to be promoted to police chief, and we will swear him in at the December meeting. So congratulations, soon-to-be Chief Brendel. All right. Next, under public safety, is the fire EMS. Mrs. Pitts, Mrs. Fetty.
Okay, they had quite a bit of training this month, such as vehicle extrications, including hybrids, dealing with safely getting people out of cars and fires. Airport towing actually donated 2 wrecked cars for them to practice on, which was nice. They also had training on traffic management and other training. The fire and police also partnered with Erlanger-Ellesmere Schools in Campbell County for an ICS 400 course, which prepares them on how to handle large-scale disasters. Our Honor Guard assisted Fallen Firefighter Memorial in Frankfort. They also participated in numerous public education programs for the Fire Prevention Week. They were visited by Cookies for a Cop and Fire Friends. And given homemade cookies as a thanks for them for what they did for this woman when her house was on fire 2 years ago. They did trunk or treat, as well as passed out candy in random Erlanger neighborhoods. They certified 14 Erlanger residents in the month of October in CPR. And they were also visited by some firefighters from Berlin, Germany, and took them on a tour. And Chief Whitaker's in the house.
The one thing I would like to say
Thank you, Chief. All right. All right, so then we'll move on to Public Works. Mr. Cahill, Mr. Skidmore?
Yes, I would like to congratulate Public Work employee Andrew Fields for obtaining his CDLs. And I'd like to bring attention to our leaf collection, which will be going on until December the 8th. And Mr. Cahill's got some.
So Al, once again, congratulations on 15 years. Dale's sitting over here. He's also got 17 years this month, so a lot of tenure over there in Public Works. We will be talking about bids tonight on the sidewalk. Mr. Viox will be discussing those that we have come in. And you'll notice this Saturday or this weekend that our front wall will be green for Veterans Day. It'll be lit up all weekend for that. I would also like to report on the dog park survey. So we discussed this in our committee meeting at the last meeting. And our recommendation at this time is to hold off on that, and we can look for other ways to use that funding for sidewalks and things like that instead of the park at this time. That's all I have. Mr. Milliken, Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Quinn are in the house, so you get your choice.
Please.
I just want to add one more cap. When Mrs. Martin was talking about the Public Works and how great of a job they do with the snow removal, that's one of the routes that Al runs. So it's another responsibility of his.
Good job, Al. Anything else, Ed? All right. All right, we'll move on to administration. Mrs. Skidmore, Mrs. Cahill?
Yes, like to let everybody know there's only a few spots still available for the senior Thanksgiving luncheon. It will be held here at the Erlanger City Building. And the date, they don't have it, but I think it's the 14th, which is a Tuesday. 14th. Tuesday. And it's 11:30 to 1:30, is that correct? Yeah, so if you need to call the city building, it's 727-2525 to make your reservations. Don't get left out. It's really a good event. And then general government offices will be closed Thursday, November 23rd, and Friday, November the 24th for Thanksgiving. And there are no elections. They're going on now, but not here in Kenton County. So we do have nothing going on in Kentucky right now. And then just a heads up for all of you that travel. If you're still using your driver's license to travel domestically, it says here starting January the 22nd, 2018, residents of 9 states, including Kentucky, will need a passport to board domestic or international flights according to the new TSA guidelines. However, the state of Kentucky has applied for and expects to get a waiver from the federal government, and then Kentucky should be fully compliant in 2019. So I suggest you avoid the rush because it takes maybe 6 to 8 weeks to get a passport now, and if you wait and you really need one, you may not be able to get it the closer you get to 2019. So if you've got the money and got the time or you need one renewed, please do so now so that you aren't left out and can't travel. All right?
I'll talk a little about the property taxes. Total collected this month and this fiscal year 2017 is also the same amount. It's a little over $3 million, and the amount still owed is close to $687,000, but they're not delinquent until December the 31st, I think.
January 1st.
January 1st. Okay. I was one day off, sorry.
That cracks me up all the time.
And the Halloween Carnival and the Hocus Pocus movie at the Depot Park was on the 14th of October, and I think they kind of quit counting at 1,000. I got there about an hour after it started, and I ran into Bill Howard, and I said, "How you doing?" And he goes, 682, 683. I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're counting. I'll leave you alone." So then it just kept getting better and better. And I didn't realize until after everything was over that the screen they showed the movie on was double-sided. I could have just sat in the back of my pickup truck and watched it instead of sitting over there on the other side with all the people eating their popcorn and making me hungry. And the senior Thanksgiving luncheon will be at the city building at 11:30 a.m. on the 14th of November. I believe there's still a few spots left. And on the 18th of November, there will be a fall hike at Flagship Park from the park to Doe Run, and that's from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. It says this is a new program co-sponsored with the library and Kenton County Parks and Recreation. Participants will gather at Flagship Park to sign in and then hike down to Doe Run Lake, where a light lunch will be provided and local environmental vendors will provide information. And then at our last committee meeting, we discussed the logos, and we agreed on the presented logos for the individual department logos. Mayor Hermes, did you want to comment on that, or?
I thought they looked great. I appreciate the department's work on the logos. Is that good?
And then we have CERS separation from KERS lawsuit. Council agreed to join the City of Fort Wright's lawsuit, and a resolution showing our support will be read during the legislative time. And Mr. Gatlin, do you have anything to add at this point?
Are you, because I've interrupted you?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were just joking. I want a legal logo is what I was just telling the mayor, that Frank and I need a logo.
I can get a
Right?
logo for you.
Yeah, how about a Target?
Yes, I like
No,
that.
that's too appropriate. I'll talk about it briefly in my report. Yeah.
And then our heroin support and information session, council agreed to host a heroin town hall meeting. And Jessica, did you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, we've chosen a date, December 6th at 7 o'clock. Danielle from St. Elizabeth's Baby Steps program will be there with the participant. They had recently done another town hall over in Boone County, and they were actually interviewed by Channel 9. So both of them will be here. She's getting another representative from St. Elizabeth to go over the other options that are available through the program. I've reached out to our fire chief to be a part of it as well, and then we just need to talk to the police chief just to show what we're seeing within our city limits. And then we've also talked with Mr. Jim Biding with Transitions. He will be there as well to give a presentation on what his company has to offer and how they work together with St. Elizabeth. Just a couple other people that we probably are going to need to reach out to. Probably want to get the county involved. Maybe reach out to Chris Knockelman. And Northern Kentucky Hates Heroin. But other than that, December 6th, 7 o'clock, I'm working on, yes, it's going to be right here, working on we have the marketing put together. Now we're just trying to find a vendor to print either door hangers or some like palm cards, postcard size, that we can go door to door. I'm also going to reach out, and maybe some of you can help me with this, see if churches would want to put a flyer in their church bulletin for the Sunday prior. I'll reach out to